Hi, welcome to Punchline Talks, the business breakfast briefers. I'm Mark Owen, and each week I invite a panel of business experts to review the morning newspapers, find out what's happened in their own individual business, their own individual business sectors, and finally, what's caught their eye in this week's Punchline. And before I start, I just want to thank our fantastic sponsors, Hazelwood's Accountants and Business Advisors. Okay, let's meet the panel this week. We've got Freddie Fforde, he's the CEO and founder of Patch, the workspace provider, is the second tenant in Gloucester's £107 million forum development. The London-based company has taken over 17,000 square feet of the development and is set to open this winter. Gloucester will be the company's sixth and largest site, and it's the first to host it in a new build commercial development. We'll find out more from Freddie. And welcome to the show, mate. Great to see you again. Okay, we got Hollie Wakefield. She's the general manager of CyNam, Cheltenham and Gloucester's hub for cybersecurity and technology. CyNam is holding the Gloucester's first Tech Week next week, October the 13th to the 17th. The PAC programme includes a session on how Gloucester's become the UK cyber innovation hub and how to save internet. So we'll find out more about that and why people should sign up to CyNam. Welcome to the show, Hollie. We got
Morning.
Christie, MD of Christie Business Coach. He's 18 months ago. Ollie handed over the keys of Neon Play, the gaming business he set up 16 years ago, and launched a coaching and consultancy company. So if hear more about that, the highs and the lows, starting again, how do you do it, and how's he growing the business, and hopefully some of his top three tips as well. And finally, never last not least, Ian Mean. He's the vice chair of the Forest of Economic Partnership and board member of Gloucestershire County Council Economic Board and chair of the Gloucestershire Organ Donation Committee. He's also the ex-editor of Gloucester Citizen, the Cheltenham Echo, the Western Daily Press newspapers. He is a champion for organ donation, and there is a serious shortage of corneas. So we'll find out why and how you can help. Do you opt in or do you opt out? We'll talk to the panel about that. Okay, before we start, let's just see what's making the headlines. Courtesy today of the BBC. It's all about Israel and Gaza. Peace within reach at long last. The Metro, the Daily Telegraph. We have peace in the Middle East. The Financial Times. Israel and Hamas agreed to first phase of US-led ceasefire plan for Gaza. War. The Guardian. Celebrations after Hamas and Israel agree first phase of the deal. The Eye. Ceasefire deal for Gaza. The Mirror. A moment of shared hope. The Daily Express. Trump's peace, the Daily Mail. Blessed the peacemaker. The Times. Trump celebrates art of the everlasting peace deal. And the Sun, for some bizarre reason, is completely off-piste. I don't understand. He's smart, he's good looking, and he's funny. Is he talking about me? No, it's David Beckham. And finally, we've got the Daily Star, Maddie's sister, my stalker hell. I don't even been following that story, anybody, but that is just absolutely bizarre, weird, and scary. Okay, let's meet the panel. Thanks ever so much for joining us. Ian, let's talk about the big story you and I have covered over the last 5 years, some of the biggest moments, actually, shall we say, Gaza war, you've got the Queen, the Prime Minister's resigning. Now, is this the end of the war in Gaza?
Yeah, we hope it is. And in terms of time, I think this is potentially one of the biggest stories for the last 40 years. I'm looking at the Daily Mail, my old paper, and I love their headline, Blessed is the Peacemaker. And inside, Richard Littlejohn, their key columnist, says, this deal would never have flown without the force of nature that is Donald J. Trump. He created the weather that made it happen. We criticize Trump a lot. My wife is a big critic of Trump, but he hadn't been there. I don't see how this would have flown at all. And I'm interested also in the Jerusalem Post. I went online this morning and saw what they'd done on their front page. And it's a picture of Trump with lots of hostage pictures inside that, with a headline, he's bringing them home. All this is going to be very dramatic, isn't it? At the weekend, probably Monday and Tuesday, when we see those live hostages come out. I went to Israel as a journalist nearly 40 years ago at the time of the Sadat visit. I came back, wrote something, saying, really, oh, it's going to be over. I was very wrong. We've all been wrong on this story. I just think it's an amazing situation. So, you know, that is a big story and it's going to continue to be a big story.
Okay, thanks ever so much for covering that so well, Ian. Really appreciate it. Ollie, let's go over to you. What have you picked out from the papers, please?
It's an article in the Times, Mark, headline Tough Job Market Pushes Graduates to Seek Early Work Experience. And I've got two kids who are 19 and 21, and you can see amongst their friends that you talk to that the graduate job market is just savage. And advertising roles are down 70%, which is just extraordinarily high. And I'm a great believer in work experience. When I ran Neon Play, we must have given 50 people work experience over the years. For us, actually, it was a brilliant way to try before you buy. It's a really good quid pro quo work experience because you give the students work experience, so they've got A, something on their CVs, B, they see what the real world is like, not just on The Apprentice and all these silly TV shows. And if you like them, you would offer them a job. And we offered so dozens and dozens of people jobs who started off doing work experience because you could see their work ethic, you could see how good they were at their job, their aptitude for learning, how they fitted in this culture of the company. And I would strongly, strongly encourage everybody, if you can, and if you can afford to, work experience generally is free. I know some companies don't do that now, but you will get up the job ladder quicker with more stuff in your CV, more learnings, more real world experience. So it's a great article, and it's good to see that students are now really seeing the value of that.
Does it say why numbers have gone down so badly?
Well, I think it's a mixture of the economic headwinds. I think it's employers are just terrified of hiring anybody now. I mean, I'm as a one-man band these days. I'm so relieved that I'm not hiring anybody because all the NIC and all the stuff that Rachel Reeves seems to be not appreciating how hard it is to run a business. And we are the job makers. We're the creators of employment. And if you don't want to employ someone because there are so many barriers in your way, why would you do it? So I think it's just a mixture of that, and AI is obviously going to change the whole world.
I totally agree with here at Punchline and Moose. By the way, we had around 30 work experience over the years, as well as I think it was 9 apprentices. And you're right, everything that you said was spot on. Thanks ever so much for that, Ollie. Hollie, let's get you in. Ollie and Hollie are going to have a real problem today. Hollie, what have you picked out from the papers, please?
So I've gone with the UK government's largest ever trade mission to India, actually one of CyNam's community. SiteHop is on that trade mission as well. And there's 125 people from across entrepreneurs all the way through to vice chancellors of universities. And it's set to increase UK GDP by 4.8 billion each year and add 2.2 billion to wages and benefit communities right across the country. And we've already seen UK and India collaborating on the tech prosperity deal as well.
Yeah, it's a great story, isn't it? And I was thinking it's a long time coming as well. They've worked really hard on it. Thanks ever so much for that, Holly. Going to go to you, Freddie. What have you picked out from the papers, please?
So widely covered yesterday, but headline here in the Mail: Princess of Wales urges parents to be fully present with their children and laments the epidemic of disconnection. It's obviously something very close to my heart. We really specialise in bringing people together, but like you, Mark, I also have children, or rather one child, a 1-year-old, and so she's some way away from using the smartphone just yet, but I noticed that she really does reach for it because she's identified already how important it is. And actually, on the back of this story yesterday, I finally implemented something I've been thinking about for ages. Very simple step, which is I now leave my smartphone, as of 24 hours ago, in one room only when I'm moving about the house, which is a way of trying to reduce my dependence on it. But I think the full title of the essay that she authored, I think, is a bit revealing. She calls it "The Power of Human Connection in a Distracted World," and goes on to say that this piece highlights 2 core points. The Mail reports that warm, loving, and meaningful relationships are the single greatest investment we can make for health, happiness, and longevity. And again, it's something we see in our business. We bring together hundreds, thousands of people together, and it's hard to really put your finger on it, but the spiritual joy, the warmth, the happiness that comes from that, and the productivity that flows is really relevant. And I'll do a little plug for an organisation that is trying to fight this battle called the Smartphone Free Childhood, which was set up by accident, actually, by one of our investors, as it happens, or his family. And they bring together, I think they've got around 500,000 parents in WhatsApp groups up and down the country. And they're the grassroots organisation that's campaigning for schools to reduce and remove smartphones from school at the appropriate age. I think it's a particular issue around secondary school. And they actually hold meetups in every patch so far. So hopefully we'll bring a bit of that to Gloucester as well.
Okay, thanks ever so much for that as well, Fred. Couldn't agree with you more. And yeah, it's something that is serious. It's destroying families. It's destroying friendships. University is not the same. Yes, Ollie. Yeah.
I love the phrase, if you want your child's childhood to end, give them a phone.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt, kids don't go out and play in football anymore, and they stay at home on their phones, flicking away. Okay, let's move on. Thanks ever so much to all the panel for the papers. Let's go on to let's have you on first, please, Hollie. CyNam. Can you explain what CyNam is, please?
Yes, I can. And I realise in my previous answer as well, it's a technology security initiative between UK and India that has undermarked some of that trade mission to India as well, going back to my previous answer. But in terms of who CyNam are and what we do, so we are a non-for-profit community interest company that essentially acts as a convener between the cybersecurity and secure tech innovation ecosystem across the whole of Gloucestershire. We started in Cheltenham as a modest meetup group back in 2015, essentially to bring people from behind the wire, as they say, at the big building in Cheltenham shaped like a donut, and to collaborate with those in the public sector and network. Fast forward 10 years, it's our 10th anniversary this year, so a very exciting year for a number of reasons. We're now a community of over 7,000 members from across 2,000 plus organisations, and that covers everything from local and central government, investors from angel all the way through to private equity, startups, SMEs, large enterprises, schools, students. We've heard obviously the important work experience and networking with businesses, and essentially everyone in between as well, enthusiasts, etc.
And it is absolutely amazing. Obviously, we've been following you guys ever since it first started, and hopefully you can see the support we've given you. You've got this big tech week coming along. Can you just tell us about this? I know it's October the 13th to the 17th. It's packed, the whole programme. And you've got Nick Clegg as well. That's a coup.
Yes, so we do have to extend our thanks to Cheltenham Literature Festival as well. We've worked in partnership with Cheltenham Festivals over a number of years, and I do have to shout out that it is the start of the Literature Festival this weekend as well in Cheltenham. So a number of our partnership events with them have high profile speakers, which includes Nick Clegg on the evening of Monday 13th of October. The Tech Week itself, really, it was in recognition of all of the amazing things that are happening in the county at the moment, and really the need to mark our flag in the sand and say, look at everything that's happening in Gloucester with the launch of the forum, etc. We've got a new angel investor group bringing early stage capital into the county as well, but equally we are set against a very difficult and volatile geopolitical landscape and ever-changing threat landscape as well. I mean, if we were on this a couple of weeks ago, we could have spoken about JLR, MNS, etc., and the various cyber attacks that they face. So just as importantly as it is to celebrate, it's a real chance to bring together the brightest minds in our county to think, okay, what more can we do? It's a real call to action as well.
Okay, no, thanks very much, Hollie. I'll be going along to quite a few of the events, so I'm looking forward to seeing you at those as well. Thanks ever so much for giving us such a good view. Okay, Freddie, let's invite you back onto the show. Freddie, obviously I went to Patch, I had a look around, went to the forum. Thanks ever so much for a quick tour. Do you want to explain about why you chose Gloucester, please? Why the city? Why the forum? This will be your sixth patch.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we have a kind of broad mission to create opportunity on every high street for people, work, and communities. So the kind of simple answer is why Gloucester? Well, Gloucester is a city. It's a place full of people, and we think that what we provide is going to be welcomed. I think obviously there are many hundreds of places that we want to be opening. So why specifically Gloucester now? I think there's a few reasons, but I think the creativity and the ambition demonstrated by the council, specifically as kind of articulated through the forum, but I think more generally through the work that's been going on throughout King's Square, King's Quarter, the Debenhams, of course, the extraordinary warmth shown by those at the cathedral. There just is this real energy, I suppose is the word, that made us feel like we were joining a community in a place that wanted us to succeed, that is on the up. And we see ourselves very much as the host space. We're not the people to come in and explain, Gloucester, this is how you do business, this is how you come together, this is how you do work, this is how you do community. All we do is unlock the potential that's already latent and resting in a place. And it's much easier for us to succeed more quickly when all the tides are moving in the same direction for us.
Ian, you want a question quick?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. But what do you actually do? I just don't need to understand that.
That's a fair question. So we are predominantly a workspace. That's kind of what we're known for. That's what most of the space in the building is for, a flexible workspace. So we can host individuals hot desking 1 day a week, right through to businesses up to 30, 40 or 50 people. Most of that work happens certainly in the office environments upstairs. But I think, we're not the first flexible workspace provider. So there are some things that set us out as being distinct and different. And I think is probably part of the reason there's a bit more excitement about our arrival. And the simplest way of understanding that is looking at our location. We are in the forum actually deliberately on the corner that faces towards King's Square, because we see ourselves as being accessible and inviting to the entire community, not just for work, but also for community and events. So when we're open, and I'll be looking forward to showing you around, we have a section at the front which is totally publicly accessible, where we'll host everything from a charitable meetup to we have a kids play area, and there'll be kind of retail markets throughout the year. And as you make your way through the building, there's flexible workspace, which can then become an auditorium for up to 100 people with very high ceilings, dramatic curtains, a stage. So it really should be the place where if you want to run let's say a yoga group, we've got space for that. If you want to come and use our content creation studio, our wellness studio, you can use that. If it's a place that you want to get your head down and do some really focused, dedicated work to get out of the house, or because perhaps you don't want to commute away, or as we say, less commuting, more community, then we've got a space for that. So
what about costs?
Well, it's a membership environment, so right. We obviously have our own overheads to cover. So the ambition for us is to provide the highest quality workspace in the towns that we operate in. There's a range of ways in which we support people through the events and community side. So there are spaces that we give away for free for people to use that allow them to have access to a quality environment. And then, as I said, we can also support kind of more structured events, running from a high quality meeting room for sort of 8 people right through to, as I said, kind of 100 people you might have in a kind of sort of delegate environment. So to give you an example, in Bournemouth, for example, we're hosting the council has come together to run a citizens assembly, and we've let them use that space for free. I think about 70 or 80 people come every month, because that is a real contribution that we want to make towards the local environment. So I think we set ourselves out as being a place of ambition, a place of talent, and a place where, as we see it, if you are creative and talented and ambitious, you want you and your city to go somewhere, you can come to Patch. And I think that, coming back to the story earlier, that human connection, that mix of all these people coming into one place, as I say, is the host space, is really what creates the excitement, not just the quality of what we provide, but actually it's the people of Gloucester coming together into one place so that they can find each other, is where the real magic happens.
I just want to say as well, your enthusiasm for the city when I met you was just amazing, Freddie. And you fell in love. I think you've fallen in love with, like a lot of us have. Can I just quickly ask you, what's the investment into the city that you guys have paid in?
It's hard to sort of quantify, but it's well in excess of $1 million.
Okay, thanks ever so much for that as well. Okay, let's go over to you, Ian. I'll start with you. I'll go over to you quickly. You know, we've talked about this before. The organ donation problem that we have in the country is pretty
Yeah.
huge. I've got an organ donation card. I think you can nearly have all of me. I can't remember exactly what I've given, but yeah, what is the problem with the corneas?
Well, we need about 80 corneas a week, Mark, to be transplanted. You know, that very, very important. There's 4,000 people currently waiting for a cornea transplant in England, and 500 of those have been waiting for more than a year. Cornea is that clear outer layer of tissue at the front of the eye, which lets in light so you can see. A transplanted cornea is really life-changing. People can see again literally in a couple of days, so it's huge. But it's a big part of organ donation. A lot of people don't really understand. There are people who have a view, oh, I wouldn't want to donate my eyes. That's the soul of someone. But organ donation is really important. We've got something like 8,400 people waiting nationally. Today in Gloucestershire, we've got about 108 people who are currently waiting for an organ, most of those for kidneys. And of course, you only need one kidney. So there are many, many people who become live donors and donate a kidney. Also an altruistic situation where people say, look, I don't need 2 kidneys. Will you have one of my kidneys? So it's something I've been involved with now for about 10 years. And I now chair 10 trust committees from here to the Isle of Wight. It's a very interesting situation. You talk about a card. Many people say, oh, I think I've got a card somewhere. They probably lost it. We now need to get them to confirm their registration on the organ donation list again. And one good thing here in Gloucestershire, we've got something like 475,000 people signed on the organ donation register out of a population of 639. We are one of the highest in the country. That means there will be more organs available for people here. So it's a constant battle, but very, very worthwhile. And it's probably, Mark, the greatest gift you can ever give.
Okay, thanks ever so much for that, Ian. I've got 2 hands up. We don't have that much time. Ollie first, and then Hollie. Yes, Ollie. Ollie.
If I was to die in Gloucestershire, does my organs go to people in Gloucestershire generally, just because of the proximity, or what?
Not necessarily. It depends on the state of your organs, the matching. So the answer is no. But yeah, possibly. There's a lot of, you might wish to donate an organ like a kidney, and often that can be through families because of the match.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Hollie, what was you going to ask?
Yeah, just quickly, just to reiterate Ian's point, my stepdad's waiting for a kidney. He's on the wait list, so I can't reiterate how important it is to donate organs. Secondly, from a tech perspective, is there such thing as artificial corneas?
That's a good question. I don't really know the answer to that. I don't know. It's something that would seem to be possible. And just on that, there's a story in the Daily Mail this morning from China about a guy who's survived for almost 6 months after receiving a pig's liver in an organ donation. And, you know, this is something that's going to come, Mark. That's a very good point that Hollie makes.
I just want to say my wife's 2 things, really. My wife's cousin, she actually works in Denmark in a centre somewhere in the morgue, and she actually removes people's corneas from around 8 or 10 a day. She does. She says it's absolutely a very rewarding and very peaceful thing that she does, and very respectful. It's quite fascinating actually chatting to her about it over a glass of red wine. I wasn't expecting that when I had that conversation with her. Thanks for that. Ollie, let's get you on the show. I've known you a long time, Ollie. I sat on the back of a giant zebra with you once. We won't go into it. I think we've had rather large glasses on as well, and I think we were both rather inebriated. But anyway, you've launched your business, you had Neon Play. What's it been like? Setting up again. Has it been tough? I mean, you could have gone and started a business in a tougher environment.
Um, I've loved it. It's been great, and in fact, the first bit of starting a company always is the bit that gives me the most energy. And I just love the idea of coming up with a brand, logo, writing the copy for the website, looking at your offering. And I think being a coach, there are three things really. A, you need to be a good coach, which hopefully I am. I'm a consultant. Secondly, it's new business, and thirdly, it's sales. So you got to get the sales, but then you got to convert them as well. So it sort of brings together everything I've really done at Neon Play, and also my advertising and marketing career before that, and 30 years of business experience. Hopefully, I've come to this where I can take what I've learned from my business life and from my personal life, all the ups and downs that we have, and help my clients, which is everything from graduates who are a bit rudderless after university, through to people at a midlife crossroads in their 40s and 50s. But I also work with people who've retired, who've sold their companies for millions, who've got no purpose themselves, and they're looking for something more that they can do. They may have lots of money, but there's a lack of fulfillment in their lives. But also I'm working with entrepreneurs, small to medium-sized businesses, just to help them with sales, marketing, website, email marketing, just working with entrepreneurs. It's sometimes a very lonely place as well. Freddie, I don't know if you're finding this as a young entrepreneur, it can be very lonely at the top. So it's a real mixture, but it's the most fulfilling job I've ever done.
Without a shadow of doubt, we get that all the time. Actually, when you're a business person, it's very difficult to sort of offload all those things. Yes, Freddie.
I would say the most valuable thing for me personally on this journey, and Ollie, it certainly has been lonely at times. As a sole founder as well, my biggest regret is never having found people to start the company with. But the most valuable thing has been this extraordinary community of other entrepreneurs that I've come to know, and I can speak very honestly and openly with them about a lot of challenges that we all face. It tends to be less practical, how do you deal with this particular accounting problem, and more kind of emotional and kind of sort of psychological almost support. And I think organizations like CyNam are a great example of how bringing people together solves that. It's obviously something we advocate for. We have a lot of groups that meet at Patch or start at Patch, and I think that, and it even comes back to the news story earlier that Kate was referring to. I think having other people to kind of share your challenges with, even if you can't find the answer directly, although you usually can, is an extraordinary. I mean, it kind of what makes us human in the age of AI, right? It's an extraordinary gift to have other people who care and look out for you. Without
a shadow of a doubt. Just back to you, Ollie. You've got a customer in Hong Kong now, I believe, as well. International clients.
Yes, I've got my second client in Hong Kong actually now. So my first Hong Kong client, she recommended me to a colleague of hers, someone in a different industry, and it's a mixture of personal coaching and where she's at her life journey, and also with a new business that she's looking to launch. So, about 60% of my stuff is done face to face in the Cotswolds locally. A lot of it's done on Zoom, which works really well, as we can see today. And so, my Hong Kong clients are both on Zoom. My last session was in the middle of the typhoon a couple of weeks ago, but it's great, and it doesn't really matter where you are. Coaching, having the chance to talk, just to get stuff out of you. It's not therapy. Coaching's about looking forward. Is super powerful, and people always come out of it in a better place than when they started, every single time.
No, couldn't agree more. I did ask you before coming on the show very, very quickly for your top 3 tips. Do you manage to scribble down something for us, Ollie?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. First of all, I think it's so important, and I tell this to my children the whole time: do what you love. If you can do what you love and what gives you energy, careers, jobs, whatever it is, whether you're earning 10 grand or £1 million, it's just a much more fun and rewarding, and you will go through the progression of your career ladder. So do what you love. Secondly, when you're an employer, and everybody who's employed people here will know, hire good people. It's so important. We had a phrase at Neon Play: a maybe is a no. So if you're not quite sure about somebody, it's probably a no. Or give them a test, a trial, be very thorough with your probation period. If they're not good enough, they don't cut the mustard, just get rid, because they'll become cancerous in your organization. And I think thirdly, as an entrepreneur, I love the phrase: things aren't always as good as they seem. and things aren't always as bad as they seem. And as an entrepreneur, you go through this massive roller coaster journey when you think, oh my God, it's over, or someone leaves who's really important to the organization, or you lose a big business deal. In my experience, the worst things that happen often become the best things. And it's how you react to that. And it's how that you look to take a disastrous situation and turn it with positive thinking, sideways thinking, speaking to people. But unless someone dies, really, the business carries on.
Totally agree. Thanks ever so much for that. And I put you on the spot earlier. Rather excellent. Thanks, Hollie. Okay, guys, just very, very quickly, kind of running through the time. We're going to go to question time. Has anybody got a question for anybody else on the panel? Because I know we kept it really quite open. Yes, Ian.
Question for Hollie. I support CyNam, what they're doing tremendously, but I do get worried about the whole Golden Valley situation and Cheltenham District Council. What does the community really know about this? We've been hearing about this for years, but this is a huge operation. I'd like to know why we can't get more information about what is really happening.
Yeah, it's that's a very good question, Ian. Thank you for that. And I think there's no kind of no secret that there's been some challenges around Junction 10 and physical infrastructure, and there's been a number of other challenges that have led to its inception quite some time ago now as an idea versus where we are today. But the positive news is that Golden Valley does have phase 1 planning consent, and that includes that National Cyber Innovation Centre that they've rebranded to IDEA. So that piece that was very first kind of announced by the UK government quite some time ago, and they have actually appointed Bruton and Knowles, I believe it is, as the construction partner on that phase 1. So we're now at a point, I think, where quite frankly there's more to say about the development and more to update people on. So I'd like to hope and be optimistic that there will be more updates to come, and buildings due to start, I think, spring 2026. So fingers crossed, and watch this space. It's about to really take off now.
Okay, no, thanks very much. I've just got to not challenge you, but just point out that Bruton Knowles, it's not Bruton Knowles there.
No, not Bruton and Knowles. It's another B&K, isn't it?
Yes,
I can't remember. Developer, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah, thanks ever so much.
Sorry.
Hollie, don't worry. Hollie, what's the question?
I suppose it's a question for Ian, but also maybe for you, Mark, because you're both in touch with so many businesses, and actually the same for Freddie as well. What's the mood music out there among small businesses in terms of hiring people and growing? The threat of AI. What's hiring young people? What's it like out there?
Ian?
Not good. I mean, we're all looking at November 26th, I think, Mark, with the budget. Some killer blows earlier in the year, especially the rise in national insurance. I think things are pretty damn gloomy. I can't see this Labour government doing anything else but in some way raising tax, and I can't see that it's going to help business at all. I think the whole recruitment of young people is extremely difficult, particularly graduates. So mood music for me is not good at all.
I actually would say it's not even about graduates. I actually think it's about young people. The government's insistence on raising the minimum wage, constantly making 18-year-olds be paid the same as a 21-year-old, whatever. I think that's it's already having a massive effect. Work experience is really down, as you rightly said. If you're in the hospitality sector, it is extremely difficult, as we know. Pubs closing. On the other side, if you're in the avionics industry or the defence industry or pharmaceutical industry, you're actually doing quite well, especially here in the county, as we all know. So it's a real mixed bag. But again, it really is tough out there. Sorry, just one second, Freddie. And also, everything is slowing down because of the budget. The housing market is slowing down as well, which has a knock-on effect to estate agents, to furniture sales, to all that kind of stuff as well. And I agree with Ian. I cannot see the government having a magic wand here there's no magic money tree. They're going to have to put up taxes. Sorry, Freddie.
No, I was just going to say we have a decent read on this. We operate in 5 different counties around the country. We've got about 1,000 regular workspace members, hundreds of businesses. So we see some of the effects of these things. And I share some of the, I guess, like disappointment, I suppose, and the frustration that's been alluded to. We can actually see it quite consistently in things like lead volumes. When there are things like the what was it? It wasn't a budget; it was a fiscal announcement of whatever it was earlier this year. The tax rises, and you could see it. I mean, April just created for us, and actually just slightly before that, there was a lot of hesitancy. And I think you're right. A lot of people are looking forward to the budget. So, we've been running this business for just over 4 years, and you can see it's like every time the UK feels like we're sort of getting going, there's like a big punch in the gut, whether that's a war or oil prices or, tax rate, whatever, there just seems to be something about every 6 to 8 months. However, I would say what it is also revealing is the extraordinary resilience of UK entrepreneurs. Like, I know it's something that we like to kind of go on about ourselves, but it is true that despite all of these frustrations, I would wish that there were things that make business creation and employment easier. Actually, what we're seeing is a lot of innovation and creativity. And I think particularly in things like AI, I think you're right, there's been a lot of hesitancy around hiring and employment, although we have actually seen some of that bounce back as well. And I think that's been reported because people have realized that actually it's not. I think there was a moment where employers were sort of saying, well, give us 6 months where we sort of try putting ChatGPT into everything. And it's not quite as straightforward as that. But actually, you're seeing a lot of new business creation and a lot of kind of partnering with AI in order to kind of make business more efficient. So I'm optimistic, probably by nature, but I think we see it in, it hasn't slowed down the growth of our business, and we cater specifically to SMEs. So I think we will get through all of this because I think we're wired that way.
No, thank you ever so much. We're kind of running out of time, guys. You are definitely right. I don't know how he does it, but we just keep on going as entrepreneurs. At the end of the day, we find the solutions and find the way. And there are, unfortunately, casualties along the way as well. Okay, we're kind of running out of time tonight, guys, so I'm going to keep it very, very tight. The pick of the punchlines. I'm going to start with you, Hollie. What's your pick of the punchlines from this week, please?
Thank you. So I've gone with Museum of Gloucester getting 360,000 in grant funding to essentially safeguard its operations and its several hundred thousands of objects, extremely important to the cultural heritage of the city.
Okay, thank you very much. Ian, what have you picked out? The punchlines?
13,000 drivers fined so far on speeding on Crickley Hill.
Are you one of them?
No.
Hollie, what have you picked out for punchline, please?
Artists take the lead on empty shops in Gloucester, and obviously there are quite a few retail premises around the place, and they're filling some of these empty shops with artists from Jolt. And I came back from Paris yesterday, and we were staying in Montmartre, which is a lovely area, quite a creative area. And having been around all of Paris, and you've got all the high street, the Gucci's, all the snazzy shops, and then you've got the sort of normal retailers. But actually, the much more interesting area is Montmartre, and every shop was an independent trader, and there was just a vibe and an energy to the place. And you just really hope that that's the concept in Gloucester. It can also be spread around through other Gloucestershire towns as well, where there are active places, not just for charity shops, barber shops, coffee shops, and just bring a bit of energy and excitement and originality and uniqueness to the high street.
No, couldn't agree more. Thanks very much, Ollie. And Freddie, what have you picked out for the...
Yeah, so similar theme, new wave of menswear signings at Gloucester Quays. I'm not a fashion icon myself, but the underlying point here is your next line where you say Gloucester Quays is now at 95% let or under offer. So it's a slight counterpoint to Ollie's point, which is to say that, yes, there is a lot of vacancy and challenge, but I think what we're seeing is actually there is resilience underneath there in the right places. And the length of the high street factory has got shorter, and we're just using it for different things. So it's not all doom and gloom.
No, couldn't agree more. And thing about being an entrepreneur, you've got to change all the time. You've got to adapt and change. Never stand still. Okay, unfortunately, that's all we've got time for. I'd just like to thank my wonderful panel for joining us today. For all of you for watching the show, if you like the show, please like, share and subscribe. Our fantastic sponsors, Hazelwood's Accountants and Business Advisors, and we'll be back again next week. But between that, please remember, it's all in the punchline. Thanks ever so much. See you next time. Bye.